Everybody, Damon D here. So it's my honor and pleasure to welcome Coachella Valley Rockers Pescaterritory to Desert Rock United. So what we have today is Nick Willman on drums and Jason Zembo, who plays guitar. So how are you guys doing today?
We're doing pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. Enjoying the end of the summer, which is always good. Moving to different temperatures, which is good. So for people that don't know, let's have you guys talk about the style of music you play. Because when we say rock, that could be a lot of different genres. So what would you guys say is your particular style?
It's kind of still like working itself out. We kind of have so many influences that it's still kind of becoming
One sound.
thing.
I'd say there's a lot of different influences in the music we're working on at the moment. Stuff. I mean, we do some acoustic music, but then we do some very heavy stuff and drop C sharps tuning. And then we got more 80s sound, more 90s sound, more vintage sounding, even older than that. So we're still working on our blend right now, I'd say. So rock is usually what we just call it.
Yeah. Let's give the viewers out there a little bit of idea as far as, not that you're trying to copy other bands or sound like them necessarily, but can you throw out a few band names just so people have a frame of reference on kind of, if you were going to put yourself in a bucket, kind of where would that be? Or,
yeah, I mean, I kind of don't really know, but a lot of people say, "Oh, you guys sound like STP or
Alice in Chains." When they hear one of our songs, "Dream Inside a Dream," that song is very Alice in Chains.
So like heavy, kind of just, it kind of has like a dark thing to it.
Yeah. I'd say most of our songs have a harder, darker kind of feel to them, and then there's, if you listen to the album, a few songs where there's a little sprinkle of light in there. There's a good mix of both of those themes and those sounds. But yeah, those are some of the bands we get called as very similar most often.
Yeah, that's actually what I heard when I was watching the music video for that. Was the beginning kind of sounded like Alice in Chains a little bit, which just popped into my head. So I could see where people are coming with that. So then, Nick, for you, as far as your influences on drums, like because what I heard was a lot of kind of heavy floor tom fills, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of Tommy Lee. I don't know if you're into him at all, but I felt that, and I was like, that kind of really heavy rhythmic, so go ahead and talk about your.
Tommy Lee's a big influence on me. Just like that backbeat, I like to keep it. I kind of like to keep it like super heavy. But when I was growing up, I would listen to Kiss, AC/DC, Zeppelin, of course. I kind of try to keep it as simple as possible, but I try to enhance the song and the songwriting as much as I can. So, but yeah, Tommy Lee's, like, I'd say right now, Tommy Lee's probably that Shout Out the Devil album.
Yeah. Like I could just see you kind of playing Dr. Feelgood and just being like, that would just be, because that groove is so awesome. But the other thing too I noticed about your playing is it's simple and heavy, like you say, but there's also a lot of fills and kind of rolling drum fills too that are more complicated, because I've heard a little bit of, maybe progressive rock in, I forget the name of the song, but it's 10 minutes long, which closes out your album. Yeah, that's a little not as straightforward as some of those other bands you mentioned in that style. So how do you guys come with the idea that we're gonna, throw a 10-minute track on our album? Like, what's the idea for that?
I mean, it kind of started off as bits and pieces. Like the first section started off, we were just hanging out at the singer's house, Aiden, and we were just walking around the street at night once with a guitar. And the first lyric in that song is as I was walking down the road, and that's what we sang. And then we had that section. It's kind of like a folky thing. And then we're like, that melody sounds pretty good. Those chords sound pretty good. Let's keep going with this. And we kind of came at a halt for a bit. But then we had another piece of music that was in the same key. It was in D minor. And we're like, wait a minute, why don't we try and put these two together and make, an epic of sorts? And that's what kind of came out.
Cool. Yeah. Gotta love the album closing epics. It's pretty cool. And then from a guitar perspective, Jason, what do you I don't know if you have a top 5 or people that have really influenced you from a guitar perspective?
Especially around like the time of the album. I've always loved Led Zeppelin, still probably my favorite band. So Jimmy Page is a huge influence. I also love John Frusciante of the Chili Peppers, especially now with some of the newer stuff we're working on. Kim Thale, Soundgarden. And those are probably like the 3 biggest at the moment, I'd say. Even for slower stuff like John Mayer, even though our music sounds nothing like John Mayer, his kind of soloing style and his how he looks at the guitar, I implement some of that. Hendrix, of course. Every guitar player's got to love Hendrix, right?
Yeah, there he is on my wall.
Yep, right behind you.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are probably Eddie Van Halen, throw him up there
Yeah.
as well. Those are my big, I think that's 5 right there.
Yeah, no, that's cool because you can definitely, yeah, I mean, you can definitely hear some of the, like, I can hear a little bit of Jimmy Page in there and for sure, but it's cool that you have those influences, but you also have your own style, put your own stamp on it. And then let me just ask you another thing about guitar was, did you take lessons or are you self-taught? Because I think when guitar players that watch this, they might say, how did that guy get so good? What did he do? Was he in his bedroom 10 hours a day or did lessons, or how did that kind of take shape?
My father plays acoustic guitar and sings, and that's how I kind of got into music. And the first thing he ever taught me was Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, that little intro lick. And from there, I kind of started to teach myself more, watch YouTube, learn how to read tabs, and then teach myself through tabs. And then I'd say, yeah, for the most part, I've been self-taught. There was a short time where for a couple of months, I had some instruction, but that was already after I learned the basics, and I ended up not sticking with it just because of time constraints. So, yeah, I've been primarily self-taught, and I think it's kind of aided in my approach to how I see guitar playing and music in general.
Cool. And then Nick, for you, any lessons, or it was just since I was 3, I just listened to Kiss records and took off with it?
I would just jam with my dad. Like we would play The Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head, that, Kiss, of course. Yeah, I would just jam with my dad.
Cool. Awesome. Shout out to the dads out there. Mine was the same way. He played guitar. I'm left-handed and he's left-handed, so we have that in common. So, shout out to the dads that turn their kids onto music. So I think one of the other questions I had was, as far as the songwriting, I know we don't have Aiden Schaefer with us, the vocalist, but how do you guys kind of approach songwriting? Is it somebody brings a riff or 2, or somebody brings a full song together and then he puts vocals over it, or how does that take shape?
It kind of varies. On the album, it was a lot of jam and figure it out like in the room. But I think now it's kind of different, where we can be more focused on our own. And like I could write like I could do a demo of something, and he can do the same thing, But it's usually music first, and then Aiden put his vocals on.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, some of the songs were brought in originally as riffs. Like King Street was a riff that I came up with at my house, and then brought in, and then we jammed on it. But then there's songs like Running Away that Nick kind of came up with most of the song, and then he brought it in, and then Aiden threw his vocals on. Songs like Ranger Larson were just that came out of just us jamming at the rehearsal space.
That was like our first.
That was, I think, the first one we ever wrote. I think it was probably our first or second time meeting. We kind of jammed that out. And of course, it's a little different now than I'm sure it was then, but the blueprints were there. So it's a mix of both. It's really what happens at the moment, I'd say.
Cool. And then as far as, which was going to lead to my next question, which is, how did the band form? Did 2 of you know each other? Were you in other bands? Did you see people at school, or or parties, or how did the band kind of come together?
we were I knew Nick from baseball a long time ago, even before I
Like
played
12,
music.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was like 12 years old. And I think you and Aiden know each other before?
I knew Aiden in 7th, 6th grade.
But I think, at least for me, the first time I played music with these guys and we all played music together was the Academy of Musical Performance, which is a program out here for young, kids to play music together, and it kind of gets them out and puts them out in public to play and gets you to play with other people. And that's how we all met. And originally, Nick, Aiden, and I decided to make a group, and we needed a bass player. And Aiden suggested Gavin, who it was his first year, and Nick and I really didn't know him at the time, but Aiden knew him, I think, from a relative. So he suggested Gavin, and we brought Gavin in for rehearsal, and then it's stuck ever since.
Cool. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's a really good story. And usually that's how a lot of bands start, is your friends or know somebody, because everyone says they play guitar or drums, but not everybody can actually do it. So let's go to, I'm going to do a screen share here, and we're going to play a clip from King Street. So here we go. Okay, so that last kind of, ripping the solo, which is great, and then that last kind of drum fill. That's pretty awesome. It kind of has like a Neil Peart kind of roll to it, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really great song because it kind of has all the elements, right? You can feel the bass and drums are locked in, the guitar is solid, and then ripping the solo, wah, and then those drum fills is really, and the vocal is really strong too. It's really good. My question about that one is that tuned down half a step or drop D, or is that just standard tuning?
That one,
right?
I play it. So Gavin, the bass player, he plays drop D, and I play for the rest of that song. I wrote it in standard, but the slide part is in drop D. So I usually play the whole song in drop D and just change how I play the riff.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was hearing a little bit, that kind of heaviness. Yeah. And then for the background vocals, who's singing background? Because it sounds like there's some on some of the songs in the album, there's a 3-part harmony going on. So who does the backgrounds there?
That's usually, I don't know if you sang background on any of the stuff. I think live sometimes you do, but that's primarily Aiden and I. I usually cover the background stuff live, but in the studio, Aiden and I kind of just double up parts and do whatever we can in the studio, to make it sound as good as possible.
Cool. And then I'll go back to the epic album closer, The War. There's synth on that starts. So who in the band is playing synth?
That was a Wine Glass, right?
Yeah, that was so that song, a lot of the inspiration came from Pink Floyd, and so I've discovered on the song "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," what they have is they have a synth pad playing while they also have wine glasses at the same time. where you can tune the wine glass by changing the amount of water in it. So I clipped a tuner onto a bunch of wine glasses and tuned them all into different tunings and recorded each different note in a bathroom to get the reverb. And we made it into little chord stacks. So we were playing a synth. I was playing there was a string pad on a MIDI keyboard. So I was playing that, and then also on top of that, there's wine glasses being played on top of the synth. So it makes a really airy sound and a very wide sound. So
Yeah, that's what I heard, and I just wasn't really sure what was happening there. But it was really original and kind of unique. So it's that's super creative way to do something. And then Jason, for you, are you doubling any of your guitar lines? Because it sounds like there's sections in certain songs where there's a second guitar. So are you doubling that, or how does that work?
It's doubled. A lot of the times I don't play the same exact thing twice when I play. So like, you can hear slight variations in playing, especially in rhythm parts. But some of the solos, you could hear some doubling on some sections. And on rhythm sections, most of the rhythm stuff is doubled.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and also we had it all panned left and right.
Yeah, because there's definitely some songs where you hear the bass on the left and then it switches over to the right after a solo or something like that. So yeah, the production is really good too. So where did you guys record this album at? Was it in the desert? Was it in LA? Where was that?
Rancho Mirage in our friend's backyard in his casita. That's where we did the album.
Yeah, our Nick's was in an old band with
my bass player, Jake.
Yeah, your bass player, Jake. They have a studio named Sandy Studios, and that's where we recorded our stuff. Jake Sonderman is the one who recorded it and mixed it with the help from his brother Luke. And yeah, that's kind of where we did it. It is really, really good quality, especially for the amount of time we put in, and for what he was charging. It was
like a month.
Yeah,
like a few weeks. I did the drums in like 2 days or something.
The longest was the vocals, then probably the guitar, and then bass and drums were probably the shortest. And of course, random overdubs like keyboard and wine glasses.
Yeah. So it took about a month from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. I'd say it was about a month. We originally recorded
like 6 of them, and then we went back and did 4 more.
We felt like the album was too short, so we went back in and recorded.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds great. It sounds to me like, it's professionally mastered and mixed. And what's cool about it is that the mix is good, that you get guitar, you're getting bass, you're getting drums, vocals. Nothing is kind of really out of whack. So sometimes, I'll call out Metallica where they just didn't record the bass basically on one of their albums. So you don't have any of that garbage. So
sounded a trash can on the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's really good. So let's talk about kind of previous shows or shows you have coming up. How many shows, where do you guys normally play? In the desert, out of the desert? Do you guys go to Vegas or other states, or how do you guys deal with playing shows?
We were in Vegas what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
And then we're going to be playing the autism benefit on the 22nd at the Tack Room. And then we're going to be playing in Idlewild on November 5th.
Cool.
But usually we try to, there's not really too much going on out here. We try to get out of town as much as possible.
Yeah. And we played a lot of the popular venues out here. We played the Tack Room. We played
Date Shed.
It's
closed now.
Yeah, it sucks. We played Happy and Harriet's, albeit open mics. We played at the pubs like Big Rock Pub, places like that. And now a lot of our gigs we look outside of the valley. We were getting some gigs in LA and in Vegas, and we play basically any shows we get though. Unless it's
right,
super far. We've played in Nashville, so we're trying to get a good spread, but we don't say no to the local gigs because we love playing for our audience who can actually come to the shows and to give back to the valley that we've been raised in.
Yeah, And then as far as do you see yourselves kind of, if you can, joining with a larger band and going on a tour, internationally, or East Coast, or is that something on the radar, or how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, we'd love to go on tour with, as a supporting act or anything, really. I mean, we just want to go out there and play our music and make people happy with it and make ourselves happy making the music. So
Yeah,
that'd be something we'd love to do, is tour, anywhere.
cool. I think what I'll do now is play just a short clip of Dream. Is it Dream Inside a Dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just play a short clip of that just so people can get a sense of what that is. That's the first music video. Let me see if we can share that real quick.
Wildfire on the mountainside, growing higher in the night. The weight that surrounds you lies deep inside.
Oh, so let me just give me 1 second. Yeah, so that's really good. That's kind of has that Alice in Chains feel with that vocal. That's kind of what I heard when I first heard it. Did you guys shoot that in Idlewild, or where did you guys shoot that?
That was Idlewild. We have some shots in the Latter Canyons. We
did
at
at
the end
CV
of
High
CV
School.
Yeah, we used the stage at CV High School.
What else?
What's that lake we went to? It's up 74. That was the main part.
One of those lakes.
We went to a lake up 74.
Good
Yeah,
enough. And then, so how did the director come up with the idea for the video, or were you guys just along for the ride on the video, like just do whatever, we'll just play, or did you have input on we want to be, in Idlewild, or we want to be in a canyon, or how did that come about?
We talked with the director of it and the camp. He did a bunch of the stuff for it, Larry Nelson, and I would talk on the phone with him, relay it back to the band, and then the band would relay to me, and I relay back to him ideas. And we went through a writing process where we kind of came up with a storyline for it. Then we'd scrap parts, then we'd get parts, and it kind of was a process where there's a lot of communication between the band and Larry.
Cool. So we have just a few minutes left, but are there any social call outs you guys want to make as far as, so if people want to get the music, get the album, there's a new single that's out, where do people go to get the music?
iTunes, Spotify, of course, or Apple Music, whatever it's called. Pescaterritory, on Instagram, Facebook. We usually just use Instagram, so.
Yeah, that's our most. We use Instagram and Facebook. We don't use our Twitter very often at all. Yeah. And every once in a blue moon, you'll see us on YouTube post something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
Those are the main spots.
Okay. And then before we go, since you guys are in the studio, could you just give the viewers just a short little trip so they can see, the guitars or the drum set, just a quick
Oh,
little.
these are my guitars.
Yeah.
These aren't Jason's.
These are not mine. This is his and his dad's.
It's my drum set.
Nice.
And Marshall, of course.
Marshall.
Little demo setup over there. Guitars, my white Les Paul right there. Yeah, our speakers. We could barely hear the vocals.
Cool.
Yeah. Some
Nice.
photos. Window.
Perfect space for an up and coming band.
A little hot, a little air
Yeah.
conditioning. You know.
Yeah.
Every time you-
Yeah. I just wanted people to see kind of, we want to kind of document where you guys start so that when you achieve world domination and European tours, we'll be like, yeah, I used to remember, I saw the guitars on the wall before they became platinum recording stars.
I wouldn't exactly call these humble beginnings, but they're beginnings.
Yeah. Awesome. So I want to thank you guys for coming on today. It's been a pleasure. Good luck in the future. Hopefully everybody goes out and buys those releases and comes to the next show, which is October 22nd
Yep,
At-
tack room for
at the
autism.
TAC Room in Indio, which is the autism benefit, which is benefiting kids with autism in the desert, which is a really good and worthy cause. Everybody really likes Josh Hines. It's amazing work that they do. So thanks to Nick Willman and Jason Zembo from Pescaterritory. This is Damon D. One World, One Rock.
Thanks, Damon.
Thank you.
Thank you.